What do you know about the Opium Wars? Let me tell you something. It was the first time in history that China lost a war. And when they lost big. They lost big. In the 19th century, China was the most powerful nation in the world, or so they thought. But 2 opium wars would expose their weakness and change China forever. But why did the Chinese lose? Why did they lose so badly? To answer that question, we must go back in time to the 1800s to find out the real reason behind the smoke. Welcome to the channel. Opium has been around for thousands of years. It's derived from the opium poppy and was used in many medicines throughout history. But by the 1800s, people started to get addicted to it. And since China was the biggest consumer of opium, they had to import it. At first, the Chinese imported opium from India and Persia. But by the 1700s, the Dutch started growing opium in India and smuggling it into China. By the 1800s, millions of Chinese were addicted to this new drug, and the Chinese government was getting worried. In fact, the emperor's counselors told him to stop the opium trade at any cost. So that's what he did. He sent out his best soldiers to put an end to the opium trade once and for all. And that is how the First Opium War began. The Chinese were winning the war until the British showed up with their superior firepower and forced the Chinese to retreat. Soon after, the Chinese lost the war and had to sign an agreement that forced them to pay a massive fine and open up more trade ports to foreign nations. But that's not all. It also led to the creation of Hong Kong, which was ceded to the British Empire after the war. After the dust settled, the Chinese started to rebuild their military and prepare for the next inevitable war with the British. But little did they know that it would be even worse than the last one. The Second Opium War would start when the Chinese attacked a British ship and killed all the crew members on board. The British were furious and sought revenge. This time, the British and French teamed up to take on the Chinese. And this time, the Chinese lost even more land and had to pay an even bigger fine. In fact, the Chinese would lose so much land in these 2 opium wars that they would regain control of their entire country until the end of the 19th century. But why did the Chinese lose so badly? Well, there's one thing that you should know about the Chinese. They were never able to fully industrialize their military. Sure, they had some weapons that could match the Western powers, but for the most part, their weapons were far inferior to the West. You see, the Chinese were never able to mass-produce their weapons like the British and Americans did, and that's why they lost. So remember, the next time you hear someone say that China is a superpower, just remember that before the Opium Wars, China was the superpower and how they lost their power to Western imperialism. Thanks for watching.